What's up YouTube? Welcome back to the channel, welcome back to another video. So if you guys have been following my channel, you'll know that I've done a lot to my G80 M3 recently. The build is finally picking up again. We've done a whole bunch of exhaust stuff, we've lowered the car, and I still have some other big mods coming for us, so stay tuned. But anyways guys, now that this car is pretty well modified, I want to talk to you guys about those mods because I know some of you guys have a G80 M3 or a G82 M4 or maybe just an M340 or whatever car it is, or you guys are thinking about getting one of these cars. So you're probably curious, what's the best place to start when modding them? So today we're gonna talk about some of the best starting mods, whether it's something that's cheap, something that's easy to install, or something that's just gonna overall change the experience of the car with very little effort. Now for context, if you guys are new to the channel, this is my 2023 BMW M3 Competition X Drive. This is my main car on the channel. I have a few other cars like my F30 sitting right over there and my X5, which is currently somewhere else. But like I said, I've done a whole bunch of mods to this car previously and also more recently as well. So we're gonna run through this list. Now just something to note guys, this is not gonna be in any particular order. I'm just gonna list them. They're not gonna be in order of like 1 to whatever. It's just the mods that come to mind. So right off the bat, the first thing is wheel spacers. Now wheel spacers guys, if you don't know, sits between your hub and your wheel, just bringing the wheel out a little more. This is one of the best mods to do to your car when you're starting off because one, it's super easy to do. Anybody can do it. All you have to do is take off your wheel, put the wheel spacer on, and then put your wheel back on. As you guys can tell, it does help with fitment. Now my car is lowered, keep that in mind, but it brings the wheel out more. It just gives it a more aggressive look. You can also better see the wheel from the rear. So overall, it just makes your car look a lot better. It's super easy to do. It's relatively cheap. Like a single set of wheel spacers is about $100, so you probably spend like $200 for all 4 corners. Although wheels with better fitment overall would be better, but that's obviously really expensive. You have to pay for wheels, sensors, tires. Wheel spacers can just make your stock wheels look that much better. All right, so we're gonna move on to the next item on my list, but before we do, I just wanna thank today's video sponsor. That is of course Simply Carbon Fiber. So if you guys know them, they're big supporters of my channel. I feature a whole bunch of their products, but today I have something new from them, which is this right over here, their Forged Carbon phone case. Now if you're not familiar with Simply Carbon Fiber, they make a whole bunch of products for us, not just our cars, made out of carbon fiber, something we can really appreciate as car enthusiasts, hence why I love working with them. But as you guys can see over here, we have a phone case made out of forged carbon. This thing looks absolutely sick guys. The cool thing about it is it's mainly black, which I like. I just prefer black. I think it's sleek, it's tasteful, but it also has that hint of color. You guys can see here, I have the red right now, but they do make these in a whole bunch of other colors. You can get like a gold, yellow, blue, purple, green. You have a whole bunch of options, and again, it's mainly black because of that real forged carbon, but it has that like flake of the color, which is really freaking cool. I mean, just look at that in the sun, guys. Like honestly, when I saw pictures of this thing online, man, in person it just looks so much better. So if you guys want one in this red or whatever other color that you want for an iPhone, for an Android, go check out the links down in the description below. There's also a promo code for you guys to use to get an additional discount. So with that said, check out the links and let's get back to the M3. All right guys, so the second mod that I want to talk about is actually inside the engine bay. It's probably going to be my only technically considered performance mod on this list, and that is air intakes. Now I say technically performance because honestly guys, you're probably not gonna get too much performance out of these intakes. Like it's not gonna actually add too much horsepower, but what it will add and why I think it's great is the sound. The sound of these intakes is absolutely amazing. If you guys want to go for like some front mount intakes, they sound even better, but those get a little more expensive. But I think these MST intakes are a good balance. It's obviously an open box. There's no fancy carbon fiber or anything like that. That's because these are reasonably priced. These MST ones are a good balance. They're not too expensive. They're relatively easy to install. Now, I'm not saying this is the easiest thing to install, but in terms of performance and engine bay, this is one of the easiest things you can do. You can literally install these intakes with like just some flathead screwdrivers and simple tools. So definitely something I think a beginner with some confidence can do. And again, guys, the sound that you get out of these things is absolutely amazing. Now, I'm sure you guys noticed there's a theme here. A lot of these mods don't apply just to a G80 M3. They apply to pretty much any car, like even a Honda Civic. Something like a G80 M3, it's already fast enough, so I'm not really concerned about performance, like actual speed, but this car sounded pretty uninspired when I first bought it, but now it sounds so much better. The intakes helped a lot. Now, obviously I have an exhaust, which I'm not gonna include on my list because an exhaust system can get very expensive and it's not the easiest to install. So I don't think it's a great starter mod. I mean, if you wanna take your car to a shop and you just have money, that's a great place to start. Definitely one of my favorite mods, which I'll do a whole other list about, but I'm just talking about like starter mods, something that's reasonably priced that you guys can probably just install yourself and you get a good amount of value out of it. All right, so the next mod on the list is more of a visual carbon mod, and that's this right over here, a carbon spoiler. So now I'm sure you guys can notice I have a whole bunch of carbon pieces on this car. They're actually overall not too bad to install, like a side skirt, a splitter over here, diffuser. It just really tends to be a few bolts and a whole bunch of clips. So I think even a beginner can do them, but the downside with those is like you don't want to install a splitter over here or a side skirt and just only stop there. It would kind of look funny if you just do it on your own. However, one mod that I think you can just install by itself and not have to, you know, worry about doing the entire kit is a spoiler. You guys can see the spoiler just gives the car that much more of an aggressive look. It sits so much better than the original one. I'm not even sure if every M3 comes with a spoiler, but I know like M340i's don't. So definitely a great place to start. And again, guys, it's something that can stand alone. Like you don't have to do an entire kit like, let's say, the side skirts. Again, it would look funny if you just have the side skirt and not the diffuser and the splitter. The other nice thing is when installing these spoilers, all you have to do is use 3M tape, which if you get it from Keys Motorsports, they're actually nice enough to already put the 3M tape on there for you. Sometimes if you get them from like other places, they don't. Just something to consider, but overall, guys, it's pretty easy to install, especially if you don't already have an OEM spoiler, because if you do, you have to take off the original one before installing your new one, which still isn't too hard of a process. Again, you're not dealing with anything like mechanical, it's just 3M tape. But if you don't have an OEM spoiler, sticking on a new one is legit one of the easiest things you can do. And then also, the other nice thing is, compared to other carbon pieces, I've noticed spoilers tend to be some of the cheaper ones. Maybe it's because it's overall a smaller piece and less complicated piece than something like, I don't know, a diffuser, or even compared to something like a front lip. So again, just a great starter mod, something that's relatively cheap. And I say relatively, guys, because obviously, you know, mods in general just aren't cheap, but relatively speaking, it is cheaper. It's easy to install. It makes a pretty nice difference on the car, and it is something you can just get by itself, and it's not gonna look like too funny on your car if you don't have a whole bunch of other mods. But anyways, let's move on to the next item on my list, and that has to do with lighting. So if you guys recall, I installed these under door lights from Open Throttle. They say M3 competition. I know it's daylight right now, but I'll throw up some clips at night so you guys can actually see what the light looks like. Those lights look really good. I know it's more of a simple mod, but it's something that just makes this car feel a little more dramatic, a little more like high end and just special in a way. Also, those lights are super good quality. I know a lot of people are tempted to get the ones off eBay or Amazon for like 15 bucks, but guys, trust me, those ones, they just don't look good. The ones, again, from Open Throttle are good quality. They're still cheaper than the BMW ones, and there's also a promo code for you guys to use to get an additional discount. So they're even cheaper if you use that promo code. But anyways, guys, those lights are super easy to install. All you do is just pop it out from underneath the door, unclip it, and then just clip in the new one. It's that simple. Literally no screws, no bolts. They even give you the tool that you need to do it. So you don't even have to buy any tools if you don't want to. This is gonna be one of those more fine detail mods that when you get in and out of your car, it's just gonna feel a little more of like an experience, whereas like a spoiler or an air intake, it's gonna change your driving dynamic or just like the overall look. That's something that you're gonna see. But again, me personally, whenever I walk in and out of this car and I see that light M3 competition, it just makes it feel special. All right, so the next mod on my list, I feel like not everyone's gonna be crazy about. Some people may love them, some people may hate them, but that is the yellow DRLs on the G80 M3. Now, I know, again, you guys can't see them during the daylight, but I will throw up some clips at night so you can better see them. But basically, it'll change your clear or white daytime running lights for yellow ones. Sort of like the CS style on the G80s. Now, that's probably why some people are gonna hate them, because they're gonna say, well, you're trying to be like a CS. I mean, for those people, I don't know what to tell you, but for those who will like it and appreciate it, I think it's a great mod to do. It looks really aggressive. It makes the cars feel a little more unique, a little more like race car-like. Also, they are relatively cheap. Again, I keep on saying relatively because that's pretty important. And again, guys, they are relatively easy to install. Now, when I installed mine, I actually had to take the heat sinks out. I had to peel off the LED board, which was obviously white or clear, and then glue on and replace it with the yellow one. So that was not very easy to do. I'll be honest with you guys, it was a bit of a pain. However, I've learned that there are ones you can get that will basically give you the board already on a heatsink. So in that case, all you have to do to install it is get to your heatsink, which you can see one of them right over here. There's only 2 Torx screws. You basically lift this up, disconnect it from the wired connection, and connect the new one. Whereas when I did it, I had to take this out, go through a headache of peeling off the original LED board and replacing it with the new one. But again, you can basically get the whole unit, so it's just like a swap of some sort, if you want to call it that. Now, it's still not the easiest thing to do, because although you can easily access this one, the next one you have to basically take off the wheel, take off the fender liner to reach it. That sounds intimidating, but trust me guys, it's actually not that hard. Again, that whole process when I did it, the hardest part was peeling off the original LED board. It was an absolute pain, and then when you have to glue on the new one, you know, sometimes the glue wouldn't dry too quick and all that. It was a bit of a mess. But this other way of doing it sounds a lot easier, hence why I'm putting it on my list. All right, so that was pretty much it, guys. That was every mod that I wanted to mention. Now, I know there was a whole bunch of other mods that I could have included on this list, like even just in the engine bay, you have these golden wrench caps, which are super easy to install. But for the money, I want to say this should be one of your first mods. And then you have other things like your mirror caps, which, you know, relatively speaking is a cheaper carbon mod, but it's not the first one I would do. Like, I would rather do a spoiler first, but hey, that's just me. If you guys do want any of these mods that I've mentioned, there'll be some links down in the description below. But yeah, otherwise guys, if you enjoyed this video, make sure you drop it a like, hit that subscribe button if you haven't already. And yeah, with that said, this video is pretty much done, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace.